Hello homies, it's Christmas Eve and I wanted to do a quick little wrap up of 2022 for our listeners to give you a quick little rundown of the year. I am sitting here in my bikini. Sorry if that's too much information, but it's because it's 37 degrees Celsius where I am. So for our American listeners, that's about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, says Mr. Google. So yeah, it is a hot one. I don't normally like to have the aircon on here in my little recording studio because it's quite a noisy one, but seriously, I would be passing out if I didn't have it on. So if you hear a buzzing in the background, that's what it is. But aircon's on, bikini's on. I'm going to be recording this episode come hell or high water because I wanted to take a moment to just sit back and to have a little chat with you about what's been happening this year and to take a moment to thank you for listening. Thank you so much for telling your friends and family about the podcast. And I know some of you that are in colleges, homeopathic colleges, have been passing it along to your friends. Some people have had it in their newsletters that they've sent out. So thank you so much if you've taken the time to tell anyone about the podcast and if you've been listening. And massive thank you if you've taken the time to write a review for me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, because that is one of the best ways you can help the show to be able to spread the word and get it to reach more people. And that really does help with our ratings and to get us pushed up so that more people will be able to find this podcast. So 2022 for me started with a bit of a bang. So I have been presenting a homeopathy at home introduction course since 2013, and I always did it in person. When I first started out, it was about 2 hours. I'd get a group of mums together at either a childcare centre or just put the word out on Facebook, and sometimes do the talks in mothers' homes, or I'll hire out a facility and invite some people to come along and bring babes in arms and just teach them how to use homeopathy. So eventually my clinic became too busy and I couldn't do this in person anymore because I used to travel quite a bit all over New Zealand, and then when we moved to Perth 6 years ago, I did loads of in-person talks here as well to just make people aware of how amazing homeopathy is and how they can use it in their home. And then 2019, my clinic became too busy, so I recorded this talk into a video, which was about an hour and 40 minutes long, and I just made this available free of charge. So the feedback that I got time and time again is that because my target audience are mothers who are by definition extremely busy, it just was a bit too much for them to sit down for an hour and 40 minutes and find out about homeopathy. So the mission was on to try and squish this beginner course into 30 minutes. And any of you that knows even a little bit about homeopathy knows how tricky that is to explain the history of homeopathy, the principle of it, how to use it, and then 5 of the most basic remedies all within 30 minutes. But I'm a gal who likes a challenge, and I took it on and I did it. And I got a lovely video editor to give me a hand editing the video. He also created a lovely little animation to show people what succussion is and how it works. And then we launched this video onto YouTube on the 27th of January this year. And to celebrate the launch of this video, we had a lovely party here in Perth. We had it in 2 sessions. The morning session, we had 50 mums and their bubbies, and then the afternoon session, another 50 mums and their bubbies. We had prizes, we had a fairy, we had just lovely food and just such great vibes, and obviously just a great excuse to catch up with so many of my wonderful supporters here in Perth. I also have to say a huge thank you to my clinic manager, the lovely Amy Vickers, and she played a huge role in helping to organise this party, and so thank you very much, Amy. This day ended up being an even bigger day than what I possibly could have expected. So the day before the party, I was in a consultation and I had to excuse myself and run out to the bathroom, and I had the biggest vomit ever and my stomach was cramping and something was just very off. So I finished the consultation. It was luckily somebody that I knew, so she wasn't too offended by me running out halfway through. And then got my lovely clinic manager to cancel the rest of my appointments for that day, and I was lying there with the most intense stomach cramps and just vomiting every half an hour, just feeling absolutely terrible. And that continued all throughout the night. And the next morning, I just thought there's no way that I can make it to my party, this launch party, which, we'd taken so long to organize and we had everything booked in. But at the same time, there's just no way that I could possibly cancel this because I was so excited to go and see all these beautiful people. I thought I had gastro. So that was literally, during this whole pandemic, the only time ever that I wore a mask. And that was because I thought I had gastro. I didn't want to pass it on to anyone. So I went along to my party. It was absolutely lovely, but I kind of sat in the corner a little bit there with this mask on my face. And I know that my lovely clients were all like, why is Eugenie there with a mask? She's never worn a mask during this whole pandemic. And so I just said to people, look, I think I might have gastro. I'm not too sure, but just maybe walk a wide berth around me just in case. So I made it through the 2 sessions. My lovely assistant Amy actually drove me home that day because I was in so much pain I couldn't even drive. And then my husband took me to hospital. So I had not had any pharmaceutical medication or been to a doctor in 14 years at that stage. So for me to go to hospital, it had to be intense. But they gave me just a painkiller, I think something like Panadol. And about 20 minutes later, I was feeling heaps better. So I said to my husband that I want to go home because the next morning at 7 a.m., I had a recording with the lovely Dana Ullman, which is something I've been looking forward to for months. And there was just no way I was going to cancel that. So the next morning, 7 a.m., I had my recording with Dana. And then straight after that, I said to my husband, I'm really feeling even worse. You need to take me back to hospital. So back to hospital I went. They ended up doing a CT scan and they found that my appendix had ruptured. So straight off to the city hospital for me because we live rural. So they took me in an ambulance to the city hospital and ended up having my appendix out the very next day. Now, that was such an incredibly humbling experience because, like I said, I just never have the need for pharmaceuticals. We just always managed to treat everything with homeopathy. The doctors, the nurses, even the cleaning staff were all absolutely incredible. I cannot thank the staff of Royal Perth Hospital enough. They took such amazing care of me. I had wonderful conversations with the nurses there. Many of them were very much on board with homeopathy. And I really saw this vision while I was lying in hospital of how we can use homeopathics alongside pharmaceuticals. So, this is exactly where modern medicine has its pride of place, is in emergency medicine. So there was just no amount of homeopathy that was going to fix this. The appendix had ruptured. I had to have an operation. And because it had been left a while, unfortunately, there was a lot of cleaning up of my guts that had to be done afterwards. So I complicated things a little bit there by being too stubborn. But so there was lots of cleaning out that had to be done. I had a little pipe coming out of my abdomen for about 3 days afterwards. I think I was in hospital for 4 days, maybe 5 in the end, and then I could go home. But I was so grateful that I had my homeopathics right there in my drawer in hospital, right next to me. And I took the Narayani War remedy to prevent infection. I took AHC, which is Arnica, Hypericum, and Calendula, which is beautiful for after surgery. I also took Carbo Veg, which is the remedy made from charcoal, because when they do the appendectomy, they blow your stomach full of gas, and it can be really uncomfortable afterwards, that gassy feeling, and can make you feel really bloated and really mess with your system. So the Carbo Veg really helped with that. What else did I have? I've got a post-op GA remedy, which is a combination remedy that I've made myself. It's got the polygeneral anesthetics remedy in it, Nux vomica, phosphorus, and opium. Basically just a combination remedy that you can take after coming out of surgery to help clear your body of the general anesthetic. So I was super grateful to have my homeopathics. The lady in the bed next to me, because obviously I was on the gastro ward, she had an obstructed bowel, and every morning the pharmacist would come past and read out all the patients' drugs that they're on. And this lady, I swear, was on at least a dozen different medications, and I couldn't help but wonder how many of those drugs are actually just to treat the side effects of other drugs. And if homeopathy was used in hospital, I'm sure we could get that lady from 12 drugs down to maybe 2 or 3, because we could use the homeopathics to help treat the side effects of some of the drugs that she's on. And it would be so much more cost effective. Her body would heal so much faster. It would be so much easier on her liver. So very humbling experience for me being in hospital, being so grateful for the incredible staff, for the incredible technology that we have these days. And then at the same time, being so grateful for my incredible homeopathics that helped to speed up my recovery. So I have a couple of different theories on why my appendix ruptured. One, I mean, it could definitely be stress. I'm not somebody that stresses out very easily, so I'm not sure if that was really it. I love speaking in front of people. I love being amongst my homies. So it wasn't really stressful for me to have this event. It was just more fun than anything else. So I'm not sure that that was it. The other thing was that I have not had the recent shot that everyone's been getting. But what I found in clinic is that even if people haven't had the shot, a lot of them have had similar effects to those who have had the shot. So if they've been in touch with people who, in contact with people who have had the recent shot. So some people have had issues with their heart, and they've had, blood clot issues with their periods and blood nose and all sorts, even though they haven't had the shot. So interestingly, if you've had the shot, there is this study on PubMed that shows that there is an increased risk of appendicitis. Now, like I said, I haven't had the shot, but I've obviously been in touch with a lot of people who have. So part of me is wondering whether this ruptured appendix was maybe just shedding symptoms. We'll never really know. The other interesting thing is that just a couple of days before this happened, I took the DTP vaccine remedy in a 200C potency. Now, I've been detoxing from this vaccine for a little while. I had it as a little baby, and there is this photo of me as a 3-month-old on my mum's lap, bawling my eyes out, and my mum's sitting there very proud because she's done what the doctors have told her, and she's been a good mother and got her child vaccinated. And at the bottom of the photo it says, Eugenie has been very unwell since her 3-month DTP vaccinations. So it's an interesting thing because they wouldn't have known to look out for vaccine injuries back in the late 70s. So maybe I was vaccine injured. Who would know? I've never had any issues cognitively that I would know of. I always did really well in school and around sports, but maybe on some level there was some damage that might have happened from that vaccine. And then when I took this 200C potency, perhaps my body decided to detox. The appendix is obviously part of your lymphatic system, and our lymphatic system is so beautiful at holding on to toxins and preventing it from circulating around. So it's possible that maybe my appendix had stored some of the toxins from this DTP vaccine from when I was a baby, and then when I did the detox, that it all got released. Like I said, this is all just assumptions, just guesses. I have no idea what caused this appendix to rupture, but very interesting way to start the year. So at least the video that we launched on that day has been a really big success. I would say we've had over 4,000 views of that video by now. You can find it on YouTube or on Rumble. So just type in Eugenie Kruger Homeopathy, and the 30-minute video is called Homeopathy at Home. And you can send that to any of your friends or family that don't know anything about homeopathy. I think it's a really nice, succinctly explained video for newbies. I don't really like to promote that I have the video on YouTube anymore. They're not in my nice books anymore. After they suspended me from uploading any new videos on YouTube because 2 of the podcasts that I did, one with Leah Golden and one with Jeremy Sher, we speak about how homeopathy can help people who have had reactions from the recent shots. And there was just no warning, no nothing. They just suspended my account until the 22nd of February. So you can find my content on Rumble. You will still see my podcast audios upload to YouTube, and that's because it's automatically done through my podcast hosting platform. So I'm not exactly sure how that works, but maybe because we had that feed, it's possibly because it's just a feed, like YouTube is just picking up the feed straight from the podcast. So the audio is still up there on YouTube, and you can still find my old videos, but I just cannot upload any new content on there. So yes, not impressed with that, YouTube. Apparently I presented medical misinformation. According to who? You gotta wonder. So we had a definitely very interesting year behind us. I was very proud of myself that I, like I said, never wore a mask during this entire time. Only that one day when I thought I had gastro. Everything I do for my 2 children. So Joshie is 11 and Tuli is 8. And they are my reason for being, as well as my amazing husband, Yaku. And I realized early on in this piece that I can tell my children as much as I want until I'm blue in the face to be brave. But they are always going to do what I do, not what I say. And those of you with children will know exactly that. We can tell them to be kind. We can tell them to be thoughtful. We can tell them to share and, not use bad language. But at the end of the day, they are simply going to follow our example. So we have to be really careful of the example that we set them. And I knew that I could not raise children who are brave in the face of adversity if I am not brave myself. So I was walking through the shops without a mask on, and I had one gentleman yell at me once saying, "Put your mask on." And my kids were there with me, and I saw them look up at me, and I just kept walking with a big smile on my face. And I could see their little brains ticking over and go, wow, my mummy is going against the grain here. And every single time somebody would yell at me to put a mask on or make a snide remark, and my children saw that, I was just praying inside my heart that this will show them that they can also be brave. And just because something is done by the majority doesn't mean that it's right. And so I still have not had COVID, touch wood. I don't think I have anyway. I was a bit off about 2 weeks ago. I think I just overworked myself. This year has been incredibly busy, and I was a bit tired the one day, and then I had this cough that went on for probably about 4 days, this really tickly, annoying cough. And I know that if I had just had time to rest, it would have gone away within a day or two, but I had to push through because I had some clients to see before the end of the year. Luckily, the Remedy Rumix was absolutely amazing. I would take a dose and within a minute, my cough would stop. Yeah, that was really just me overworking myself. For interest's sake, the other day, I pulled up my booking software and I saw that I had done 670 consultations this year. And I thought, oh, that's quite a lot. That's great. And then the next day I thought, hang on, we switched over to a new booking system in April. So actually my bookings from January, February, and March is still in the old booking system. So logged into the old booking system and found that there was another 300 consultations in there. So my total consultations for this year is 959 consultations. And on top of that, over 100 podcast episodes that have been, I recorded about 120 or 130, but only just over 100 have been released this year. So it really has been an absolutely massive year, which I could not have done without my incredible husband and my incredible kiddies, and also the most amazing clinic manager, Amy Vickers. She's actually got her own side business as well, her own side hustle. She blends the most beautiful teas. She also makes lovely infused oils from calendula flowers that she grows herself. So she's a very smart cookie that I am so lucky to have on my team. I've also got another incredible lady called Bo Wilson, who's also been a guest on the show. She is a midwife who's studying to become a homeopath, and I'm really excited for her to finish because, man, this lady is talented. She knows so much about homeopathy. She's an incredibly hard worker. It was probably about 4 months ago, I texted her and I said, Bo, my 2 other staff are leaving at the same time. Can you please come and work for me? And she said yes, and it was just amazing to have her on the team. And then we had the lovely Paloma and Cherie come to join our team. Paloma was a client of mine who I really like, and I said to her, if I ever have a spot open up, I would love for you to come and work for me. And she did. And then the lovely Cherie was a friend of somebody that worked at the clinic as well. So, we like to keep it in the family. We like to have staff come and work for us from referrals and just people that feel right, because we have a very close-knit team. I also have 2 unbelievable virtual assistants. So Chin, thank you so much for all the amazing social media that you do. A lot of the beautiful writing that you see is actually Chin. I cannot take any credit for that. She knows the vibe that I like, and she knows I'll give her the general direction, but so much of the writing is actually the lovely Chin that does that. So thank you so much. And then also Margie, who edits my podcasts. thank you so much, Margie. You do such a great job. Your show notes is 1,000 times better than mine ever were when I was doing them myself. So I'm very, very lucky to have this incredible team of people behind me. And while I'm on the topic of thanking people, I just want to thank the incredible mothers in my Australian Facebook group where I offer free acute advice. You ladies absolutely inspire me. I love how you help each other out, how you share remedies, how you drop remedies off to each other's houses. It's just beautiful, the community that we've created. For any of our overseas listeners that have tried to join the group, I'm very sorry. It's only for Australian listeners at the moment. The reason is just that it takes a lot of work to admin a group. We already have, probably like a dozen posts in the group every day asking for advice. There's only so much time that I can dedicate to the group, so it does become a little bit much. Bo has been absolutely incredible with giving advice in the group as well. So I want, for me, it's about quality, not quantity. So at this time, I'm not able to allow international people in the group purely because of the workload that would be involved. But if you're international and you're looking for a great Facebook group to join for acute support, Paula Brown has a wonderful Facebook group called Teach Me Health and Homeopathy. And of course, the lovely Mary has Mary's homeopathy study group, and there's over 40,000 people in that group. So that is also another brilliant group to join if you're looking for some acute support. Anyone around the world, however, is very welcome to join the Homeopathy Hangout podcast Facebook group. I think we've only got about 850 members there so far, and that group is not for acute advice. It is just to discuss the past episodes and have suggestions for future episodes, or if you need any clarification on anything that we've talked about on any of the episodes. We do have many of the guests that are featured on the show in the group, so you can actually interact directly with some of the guests, which is wonderful. So our year just kept on getting really interesting because Australia was quite draconian with their mandates over here, and the clinic where I had been working for the 2 years prior to February this year, it was actually run by an absolutely lovely chiropractor. Now she decided to practice from home. So at the start of the year, she offered me and my husband to take over the clinic. So that was a bit of a no-brainer for us because we absolutely love where we are. It's in the lovely Perth Hills here in Stoneville. It's a gorgeous little cottage where we're at, just trees all around us, and the cottage itself just has the loveliest vibe. We have the post office right next to us, and that's part of the reason why our clients here in Australia, when they place an order and they select Express Post, usually the very next day they'll receive their order anywhere in Australia, and it's because we process all our orders the same day, and the post office is right next door to us. So anyway, it was one of the best decisions we've ever made. My husband started working with me in June 2021. Our priority has always been family, so it's always more important for us than any sort of financial gains. So as soon as he could leave his job and come and join me, he did, and it's really lovely for us to work together with our beautiful team that we have there. So we do have a couple of massage therapists at the clinic as well now. If anyone's listening to this and they happen to be a chiropractor, we would love to have a chiropractor back in the clinic now that the mandates have been dropped. And we do have an opening as one of our lovely ladies has decided to go and travel around Australia. So we've got a clinic space that's opening up in the new year. So I've personally now worked in this beautiful clinic for 3 years. It's just flown by so quickly. And we very much look forward to being there for the long term, because we have just such a beautiful community here in the Perth Hills, and many of our clients that come from other parts of Perth, sometimes they can drive an hour or hour and a half just to come and see us, and whenever they get to the Perth Hills, they're always like, wow, this is so beautiful. It feels like you're somewhere completely different. It doesn't feel like you're in Perth. So yeah, for those of you coming in for your consultations, do make the drive. It's gorgeous out where we are. And as we took over the clinic, we decided to expand our offerings, and now we have gorgeous crystals that we sell. We've got some crystal water bottles. We've got some beautiful crystal jewelry. We also have some supplements in our clinic. So yeah, most of these are available online. Some of them are not because it's a little bit tricky to post, but it's been wonderful to be able to extend our offering. And of course, we have our awesome homeopathy hangout t-shirts, which we also ship anywhere in the world. And we have also recently started shipping our remedies all over the world because we have probably the nicest kids on the planet. I know that's a very big statement to make, but our kids are something I'm really proud of. So I've always had a little gripe with homeopaths who give remedies to their clients in little plastic bags or little paper envelopes or in little plastic vials with paper labels, because I just don't feel that that's a professional product to give to an end user. Whenever I make a product, I always imagine myself in the end user's shoes. So I try to make my remedies colorful with waterproof labels so that it's something that's going to be durable. I have colorful dots on the lids of all of my remedies. So when you're rummaging through a drawer, that they're really easy to find. You know, I always, with everything I do, have a mother in my mind. It's 2 a.m. on a Saturday night, shops and everything is closed, and her child has an ear infection, and she's got another young baby that's screaming. So one child's on the hip and the other one's in the arms. She's trying to rummage through, trying to find the right remedy for her. So I always try to think, how can I make it as easy as possible for this mother to find her remedy? So that's why I have beautiful cases. I've got these beautiful pouches. They've got a little carabiner on them, so you can click them on the edge of your diaper bag, so they're really easy to find. I've got mine hanging off the side of my handbag, so it's always very easy to take wherever I go. We only use amber glass for our bottles. We don't use any plastic. And like I said, waterproof labels, waterproof dots, and absolutely beautiful, very well priced products, and happy to ship it worldwide. We also hope to be wholesaling our kits to stores Australia-wide in the new year. So if you're listening to this and you are a natural health practitioner, or you work in a health shop or even a pharmacy, and you would like to have a beautiful, high-quality homeopathic product stocked in your shop or in your clinic, please do get in touch. You can email us at info@eugeniekruger.com, and we can get you hooked up with some beautiful kits. So as the year went on, August came by, and we had our 100th podcast episode with the incredible Miranda Castro, and that was in August. It also was the time that we hit 50,000 downloads of our podcast. We're now actually over 110,000 downloads of the podcast, but that was a huge milestone for me to have reached 50,000 downloads and 100 episodes in 1 year's time, which is pretty amazing, and it deserved to be celebrated. And we had an incredible day. Once again, the lovely Amy Vickers was just a superstar with helping me organize this. We had so many prizes. I think we had something like 30 prizes on the day. We had 2 fairies at this event. I absolutely love children. I was that child that as a teenager would babysit everyone's kids. I was doing little craft classes for kids when I was 16, 17 years old in the school holidays. I'd organize craft classes and teach kids paper mache and t-shirt painting and how to make beaded jewelry and things like that. So I've always loved children. So at this podcast celebration party, my number one goal was that we had 2 amazing fairies there. They are the best. They did such a great job. So we had 100 mums there, loads of kiddies, loads of prizes, incredible food, and I had no appendicitis, which was wonderful. And we just had such a great time. And I always love seeing the mums making new connections, getting to meet each other for the first time. So many of them have helped each other in the Facebook group and then actually get to meet each other in person. So that's my buzz. That's what gets me excited and keeps me going. Also here towards the end of the year, my husband, who is just the most incredible IT guru. There is nothing electronic or IT or gadgety wise that he cannot fix. And he's also a real handyman. He's always building stuff around the house, fixing stuff around the house. I always joke that he can literally make anything. He can even make children. So, yeah, so lucky to have this wonderful man in my life and to be working together. And he has been working his butt off behind the scenes this year, researching new products for us, finding new suppliers for us. And he found this incredible machine for us, which is going to be automating our labeling as we go into a wholesale phase of our business and getting our products out to shops. And he's also redesigned our website and just putting even better security measures in place, because unfortunately we have been getting a lot of attacks on our website. He's just done such an amazing job to make the site look great and to increase the user friendliness of it all. So yes, very, very grateful for the wonderful work that he's done. I also had a photo shoot this year in September with the lovely Susie here in Perth from Star Love Photography. She is just absolutely incredible. I am really self-conscious in front of the camera. I'm not a naturally photographic person at all. So when it came to having some new photos taken, Susie was the person for me. She just made me feel so comfortable. We went to the beautiful Araluan Botanic Gardens here and we just had a great time, and I was so happy with the photos that she took for me. I've also been lucky enough to work with a wonderful coach this year, and it was great to just reassess a few things in my life, just delve a little bit deeper into my strengths and my weaknesses, and help set me up for some new goals that I have for the new year. So that was a lovely lady called Usha Raman, and I can highly recommend her. It's called Nexus Training, so good shout out to Usha. She is absolutely incredible. And then in October this year, I enrolled in the one and only Hilary Dorian's Homeopathic Master Practitioner course, which I am so excited about. You've probably heard me on the podcast talk about Hilary so many times. I have so much respect for this woman. My clinic is as busy and successful as it is because of Hilary's training. So she does some of her own courses, and you can get that directly through Hilary just by emailing her. Or she also does courses through CHE, which is the Centre for Homeopathy Education, and they've been on the podcast as well. And her bowel nosos lecture and endocrine sarcodes lecture are some of the ones that's made the biggest difference in my practice, and it was kind of like a missing link for me. In 2020, I had probably about 10 or so mentoring sessions with her, which was absolutely incredible. So I got Hilary to help me with some of my tricky cases, and it was just the most amazing thing to have this incredible practitioner with 40 years experience behind her go over my cases, just help me understand how to look at them at a different angle, and I'm so grateful for her. So when CHE and Hilary announced that they are releasing this once-off master practitioner training, I was determined, no matter the cost, I was going to enroll in this. As Hilary is trying to reduce her workload, she spends a lot of time traveling, and so this is her legacy that she's handing down to homeopaths to get to learn from her 40 years of experience. It started in October, it's finishing in June next year. Other than that, I have spent way too much money on books this year. I told myself at the start of the year I'm not allowed to buy any more books until I finish reading the ones that I have. But it's really hard when you get to interview such unbelievable guests that also happen to have such unbelievable books. So I'll have to do a little reel on Instagram of all the books that I've purchased this year, because there's been some great ones that has really made a big difference in my clinic. Another real game changer for me in my clinic this year was that Radar Opus updated their software. So if you scroll back several episodes, there is one which was a webinar recording, which I just uploaded onto the show with permission of Luke Norland. So it's with Frederick Schoens explaining why it's taken them, since 2009 to actually upgrade this Radar Opus software. So I bought my Radar Opus software in 2010. I could not do what I do without this amazing software. And it had about 2,000 remedies in it at the time. Now, in May this year, they upgraded it to the Radar Opus Adonis version. Now, this has got over 5,000 different remedies. So I can't even describe to you how much it's changed my prescribing in my clinic, because now when I'm repertorizing a case, remedies like the butterfly remedies will come up, and the crystal remedies, even the COVID nosode will come up in repertorization. There's all these unbelievable remedies that are coming up in repertorization now, which they never previously did. So I'm having a wonderful time in clinic prescribing all these amazing remedies that I haven't had the opportunity to before, because unless you know to look out for a specific sign of a specific unknown smaller remedy, you wouldn't know to prescribe it. But now it's coming up in repertorization where it never would have before. So I've had just the most absolutely wonderful time this last few months since I've upgraded to the Adonis software. So for any of the homeopaths, if you've still got the old Radar Opus and you haven't upgraded to Adonis, make sure that you do. I get 0 commission from them, just so you know. I'm sure some people think I must get commission from them because I'm ranting and raving about how amazing the software is. I don't. But definitely upgrade to Adonis. If you have not got electronic software yet, you are totally missing out. It's just amazing. And some of my old cases, if I've got an old case or maybe I'm stuck with a case, what I'll do is I'll re-repertorize it with this new software, and all of these new amazing remedies are coming up now, which is just absolutely wonderful. So what I guess I'll finish up on, because I feel like I've just been babbling, but at the same time I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what I've been up to this year. I'll finish off with a bit of my hopes and dreams for this podcast for the new year. I am hoping to continue releasing episodes on Mondays and Fridays. I have got enough content now to last me until about February, so I'm not actually starting to re-record until the 4th of February, which has been really nice to have a bit of a break. When I do record, it's usually 1 or 2 days a month, and I start at 7 a.m. in the morning and I'll go through till 7 p.m. I'll have some breaks here and there because sometimes, there'll only be about 8 or 9 episodes. So I might have, an hour or 2 hour break here or there throughout the day. I'm also hoping to release a Wellness Wednesday section on the podcast, which is going to be an opportunity to have guests other than homeopaths on the show. There's a bit of a twofold for that. I'm also hoping to be able to feature on other podcasts myself, and a good way to do that is to do a podcast swap. So if any of you listening to this have your own natural health podcast, or you know somebody who does and would like to do a podcast swap, please let me know. So the Wellness Wednesday section will be a way to also feature the guests of the shows that I hope to get on, but also to be able to expand your minds and maybe add some modalities to your clinic, or if you are seeing a homeopath, maybe just see what other modalities you can use alongside homeopathy to help speed up your healing. So do keep an eye out for that. And I also just want to give you a quick little rundown of the financial costs of producing this show. I feel really bad putting it out there because this is obviously a labor of love. Nobody should ever feel obliged to donate to the show if they don't want to, or if they don't feel the need to, or whatever else. And I have had one person tell me that my requests for donations for the show is becoming tiresome. It's a bit of a punch to the guts, but I move on from these things pretty quickly. It does cost a lot of money to produce each show. As much as it is a labor of love, there is a huge financial cost behind this. I have to pay my editor to edit each episode, and between the editing and writing of the show notes, that's at least 4 hours of work, which I have to pay for. And on top of that, I have my other lovely virtual assistant who creates the audiograms and then schedules all the social media posts. So by the time all of that's done, that's a good 5 hours of wages that have had to be paid at minimum, sometimes 6, because we are now starting to edit the transcripts as well. And that can sometimes take 2 or 3 hours to edit the transcripts, which we then hope to be able to make available as a resource for our listeners. That's down the track as well. So that obviously does not include my time of emailing guests, trying to get them on the show, answering their questions before they come on, the back and forth, and then the actual recording itself, then emailing them back and forth to get their bio, get their photo, make sure that they're happy with everything. So there is so much time and so much money and just so much effort that goes into producing the show. And that's totally fine because I've had beautiful flow-on effects from producing the show, in that I've met homeopaths all over the world, which has been really lovely. But if you ever feel called to donate financially to the show, or if you would ever like to advertise on the show, I would be so incredibly grateful, because at the end of the day, it is a labor of love. It's my decision to do this. Nobody should ever feel pressure to donate to the show. But I tell you what, any tiny little donation that I do get, I literally do a little dance and a little jiggy here, because every tiny little bit helps. So there's a few ways that you can do that. I do now have a Patreon set up, so you can just check on patreon.com. So you can go on patreon.com/homeopathy hangout, and there's the $5 monthly donation, and there's also the $10 monthly donation, which will get you a phone call with me, and we can have a little chat. You can also make just a one-off donation at buymeacoffee.com/hangout, and I do make an effort of thanking every person on there that does donate to the show. So I think that's pretty much a wrap from me. I probably would have forgotten something that I should have told you guys, but hey, you can come and join me at the Facebook group, Homeopathy Hangout Podcast Facebook group, and we can have a chat in there. You can make some recommendations on who you'd like to see on the show. Many of the amazing guests that we've had on have actually been recommendations from our listeners, so I love that. And if you want to get in touch, feel free to email info@eugeniekruger.com. And yeah, thank you very much for listening. Thank you so much for your support, and all the best for a happy and healthy 2023. Bye.